Business is done through great meals. That's one of the best ways to come together and like really connect with the person. You're like, yo, have you tried this at this place? You bring that person and you're like, yo, you have to try this. They eat it, they automatically trust you.
That's what
the shit is fire.
Because you're sharing a quality. Everyone always quick to share an experience. Even if it's shitty. How many times have you eaten something, you're like, oh my God, taste this, man, it's terrible. You know, it's the first thing you do. And, you're like, and then someone stupid is like, oh, this is terrible. What did I do that for?
But if you trust that person, you gotta try it.
No, every single time, bro. Every time you're like, oh, you're right. So I even want to make sure that you were right in your bad opinion or something. Like, it's like crazy. This is Don in the place to be with my man, Justin. Justin, say hello to the people,
What's
please.
up, guys? How are you?
We're just here chopping it up as we always do, man. Justin, we go back a little bit, man. Why don't you tell the people a little bit about yourself? We're going to be exploring different avenues, different sides of the Justin, of the onion, which is Justin Aquino. Please, just give me a little brief hit of what you...
Oh, man. What am I up to? Or
yeah, what you up to? Give us an update, man. I ain't talked to you in a little while. You just got back from New York. Too.
Yes, I just got back from New York, witnessed the wild, wild west of cannabis.
Hey, it's pretty cracking out there.
Yeah, I mean, let's touch on that. But, like, just to sum it up, been in the industry, nightlife industry, bar industry for 20 years. Kind of made a career out of it. Been independent since like 2004.
Love that.
So and then that just kind of turned into agency, which deals with different marketing things for different brands.
Love it.
Different clubs and things like that. And then also now doing a lot of stuff in the cannabis space since the whole pandemic had happened. Things being shut down, kind of had to pivot. Always kind of had my foot in cannabis a little bit, but not so much as of latter, more so like as a kid and the youth trying to be an entrepreneur and stuff.
Got you. So it brings up a lot of good points. Like, I was talking to my producer, shout out Ronnie. Ronnie just got back from some travel.
Ronnie!
Thank you. Hey, yo, got back from Cleveland, y'all. I don't know why he wanted to go, but that just shows you how real he is as a fan. But we were talking about, as I see you, as I know you over the few years, I got here about 5 years ago, and, I've just been bebopping around and trying to find a lane for myself. And as I found you, I always knew you as someone that has hands in a lot of different things.
Right.
That's kind of why I wanted to have you on to have a conversation with you. It's just because, I know that, shout out to your company real quick with the cannabis side.
So we're rocking Dub's Garden, Hidden Farms.
We're doing a lot of things.
Gallery. We got a lot coming up, man.
He got all this stuff, bro.
Yeah, we got a lot
so you have your hands in the cannabis world. You have your hand in the service industry world, which I know you're in from bars. And you used to do that. Before that, you used to do a lot of promotions for different events, different things like that. So we were just talking about, hustling in general, man. I view you as a real hustler. That's someone that's just kind of just working not to work in the industry. You're working to sustain and elevate yourself. I find you as someone that truly vertically hustles. And I think that that's the true ethos of the hustler. So at the beginning of your journey, where did you kind of start with as far as you kind of have that spirit? I know the spirit. I have a wandering soul. I kind of get along wherever I go because I enjoy that life for myself.
For sure.
And I see that you like hustling, so you're going to connect with different people, different avenues, have different mindsets. Do you find that being in the space of creatives is best to work people that are more structured to kind of keep you in line as far as you move up? Or do you think it's better to kind of work with more creative-minded people so you can kind of grow organically,
Yeah, that's a good question. I would think that you need a little bit of both because there's the people that know how to put together, what would you say? Put together paperwork. So filling out your paperwork, dotting your I's, crossing your T's is very important. So that in order to go vertical, you have to have the LLC right. You have to have all the paperwork right. You have to have the taxes right.
Right.
And those are the things that I, per se, probably aren't the best at, but can make it work. But I know that I can source that and kind of lean on that person for that. But creative people are just as important too, and align with those type of people because they might see it from a different angle. And then kind of balancing that, you have to stay inspired. So creative people are always going to keep you inspired. Whereas like the numbers guy and the guy that's kind of like black and white and knows how to like really create the vertical stuff, watch the money, make sure that everything is kind of aligned where you're making money. That guy's, I wouldn't say he's boring, but his brain works a little different.
Right.
You know, so to answer your question, you need both. I love to like talk to that guy because that's something that I want to learn about more.
Right.
So that like I'm able to not to say I need to cut those people out, but those are the people that are kind of like, you know, those are the guys that you need to lean on too. And like I just don't know so much about that world.
Right.
So it's important, you know, and like the creative stuff is great because, you know, if you have an idea and you're spitting it back and forth,
Right.
like you can't spit that back and forth with that dude.
I mean, it's unfortunate truth. I think there's a thing where everyone forgets that like everyone does play a role. They look at it in a negative sense and doesn't realize that that's an important thing.
Yeah.
Like I worked on a couple different projects and I always found that like now, especially being out in California, and I see how the overarching structure works, that especially with creatives, I find that when you do it collaboratively across a couple genres or with a couple people, the results come out a lot better.
For sure.
And
And
you're
like,
more willing to.
you know,
yeah.
we're talking basketball off screen and stuff. And like, you know, there's the point guard, there's the 2 guard, the 3 guard, the 4 guard, the center. If we're talking about winning championships, all those people are really, you know, crucial as you get down the road, getting to game 6s and game 7s, where, you know, if somebody's having an off day or an off month or, you know, like, that we have to lean on those type of people. And like, also, like, another thing, too, that I would love to, I always want to bring up is, like, I ain't shit without, like, the people that are on my team. Like, you know, I've been working with these 2 cats forever. You know, shout out my man Dirty.
Hey.
Shout out my man Ray Rosero. Like, we've been rocking creative stuff, you know, since 2008.
Nice.
And, like, the thing is, like, you know, they do stuff that I can't do, and I do stuff that they can't do.
Now, it's interesting you bring them up. I also know that, like you said, you have your hands in a lot of different things. So I find that, like, I do a little alley catting around. You know, I'm known to peruse, you know, a late night or a random this or that or get an invite. And I've seen you at multiple functions and multiple different platforms. So I know that you have to work with other people. You work with different nightclub owners. Yeah. You work with other promoters,
For sure.
a lot of DJs, things of that nature. A lot in the entertainment space, from what I know you, because that's kind of where I lived also. Like, is it hard to collaborate with multiple people? Like, you have your squad, you come up with them in 2008, you're linking up on the same wavelength, the whole 9 yards. But then to shift to another project and have another kind of consortium of people.
Right.
Do you have to kind of go back and refer back to your, not, I don't want to say handlers, but like go back to your, you know, your cabinet and kind of get an opinion and then go back? Or do you just rock completely different with every different thing?
Yeah, that's a great question. Like, so, like with the nightclub stuff, I mean, that was like kind of my bread and butter.
Okay.
So like, you know, we could go back to like 98. We're saving up money to get 2 1200s and a mixer.
Right.
So I'm saving my lunch money. You know, we're doing like other odd jobs. You know, you could kind of put the dots together to get money at that point. And like the thing was, like, mobile DJing was huge in my high school.
Okay.
There was kids that were already had.
What was that? What year was that around?
This is like 98.
Okay.
The one of the like the actually my business partner who now does the Lumpia company, but he had the illest Wednesday night party in San Francisco.
Well, I mean, you got Lumpia and DJing.
You know, 18 and up, man. So he was killing it, 18 and up, and there was just a long lineage of DJs, like the long lineage of people. So we always had like, you know, I guess idols that we could look to and say, this is obtainable. Why is this obtainable? I could see the road right now.
Right.
I could see the path. So with that, you know, like we're hustling, we're trying to get our feet wet.
Right.
You know, I end up graduating, throw my first party in 2002. I was like 19 years old, and we had 300 people on a Monday. That's what kind of set it off.
Yeah, that's pretty lit.
You know,
bro.
so like that was my foundation, and it was all the kids that I had went to high school with. So like you've met Les, of course, and so me, Les, and this other dude John Lorenzo, who also went to high school with us. He was like 2 years older. We started a group, and like we were just running, and like saving up, throwing parties, and then like 04, 05, these guys are going to San Jose State. And they're like, hey, you know what? Let's check out San Jose. And then 2004, 2005, I never left after that,
It's one of those forever places. I think when it works though, man. I think that it's dope that like everything happened, strategically, but organically.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like, I think that's really hard. I think that's the hardest lesson. As I had a couple failures, you get in some things, you get in some ventures, you get your lessons, you have your setbacks. I think as you move through it, when you move with other people, like-minded people that are really honed in on a common denominator, common purpose,
Right.
like that's when movement really starts happening, because it's so hard to be good at everything across the board, man. Like we were talking off panel right before, it leads into this stuff. And I totally agree with you. I never I never got to finish that conversation, but I'm fallible as hell. Like if I go through my day, I lovingly say I have my friends are like my handlers sometimes. And the ones I love the most are like, hey, Don, let's keep that image up and not do that, or let's go this way. Right. And I have other moments where I inspire people and I do the things that people can't do on a regular basis. Right. And I think that is always the thing, that no matter what the concept is, if you don't have people in on the vision, then you're going to fall. If you don't have just but yourself, then you're going to fall because there's nothing to fill in the holes.
Yeah, bro. And also, too, like, like a lot of the people that I've worked with that have been lifelong friends. Like, I've known, like, I reference Ray and Dirty since, like, high school and, like, in, like, early college. So, like, these are people that we've all kind of, like, came up together.
Right.
And, we were doing, like, different things also. But the point I wanted to make was that with having, like, all these different kind of like businesses going on, I could bounce this same idea off of the other guy that might be doing, restaurant stuff or clothing stuff.
Gotcha.
And see it from their lens too, which always helps, because at the end of the day, if we're selling cannabis, there's different views on it. Some people might say, oh, I love it. It's medicine. It does X, Y, and Z for me. Some people are like, oh, I don't know about cannabis. Like, whoa.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it's a big divide, but I think the divide is always bridged by education and communication.
100%.
And I think that's, a big platform I try to stand on. I don't know who this is going to reach, to be honest with you. I'm just glad I have good, interesting friends that are willing to give me some time talking about some random stuff. Yeah. But I think the big divide is, especially in cannabis, is that everybody's going to have different views, but what's the commonplace? The commonplace is, what do we get out of the conversations? Whatever my medium is, it doesn't really matter, as long as I'm not doing the most. But if it gets me to creatively to a place where we can collaborate or go somewhere, what does it matter? Maybe your Prozac's keeping you consistent enough to get in this conversation.
Yeah, for sure.
And that's your medicine. But that's a conversation for another time. But that's terrific. Yeah, I find it really interesting, the energies that move between different groups. And I think that's always good to have, like kind of like your own focus group. Like you just saw my homie just come out the back room. I known that dude for 20 years. Mm-hmm. If something's going crazy in my life or something's going left, I'm like, yo, does this sound crazy? Yeah. And then I kind of get a real kind of idea and these people are important, and they play that in business, they play that in life. Yeah. So I think that friends in business get a bad rap. I think that people don't evaluate their friends before they involve them in business. Mm-hmm. And I think your friends, your loved ones, your family are the best attribute in business, as far as consistency and success.
Yeah, like, growing up, like, early 2000s and stuff, like, Jay's always been my dude. And Jay's circle has always been, like, everybody that he's came up with, from the Dope Game.
Right.
People have done bids, and when they came out, he made sure like those guys were good, and like Reasonable Doubt really just like had kind of just went through sonically through my head at that time, and like that's was like, all right, well this is like the game, and like this is how we're gonna run it.
I think I talked to Ronnie about that last week, and we were going back and forth. He's a generation behind me, so we were talking about top 5 lists, hip hop and all this stuff. And he was like, yeah, I kind of got to put Jay-Z on there, obviously out of respect, but at the same time, like, or I was talking to Alex about it, I think it was, but at the same time, it kind of isn't in my joint. I was like, why we put him on is because he put us on game, like real game. He got to a point where he's like, all right, this is what I done. I ran out of stuff I did. Let me put you on a game to either go this way, left the right way, or go right way. Yeah. But at least you're going the right way off some real moves.
For sure.
So I think he put a lot of us around that, age range, around that.
Yeah, definitely.
On some real game, bro.
And like,
Shout out Jay. Hove.
You talk to anybody that's like kind of generation after, they're going to have like, it's just a different, it's like, who were you listening to at age 15? And then that's going to be in your top 5.
That's funny how it just locks in like that, real rap. I think there's just a nostalgia piece that just like lives in your heart.
Definitely. Like I could remember, and I've told this story a couple times, was like I got a BMG subscription, which is like basically you get fucking like these little stamps, and then you fucking put the stamps on the album you want, right? So you, for like $10, you could get like 10 CDs, right? And then, so like, I just went crazy. So I got fucking...
Give it to me.
Too Short.
Yep.
Souls of Mischief. Like some Pac, Fugees, and something else. I mean, those are the ones I remember. But like, hearing like the opposites of like what Souls of Mischief was, what Too Short was, what Tupac was, what the Fugees was. Yeah. Oh, and I got Wu-Tang. And it was like, and what Wu-Tang was... I mean, like, that pretty much solidifies, like, what a top 5 would be.
I mean, it's not about... How many out of those are in your top 5 now? Because, I mean, like, you got to stay relevant. You're a relevant dude. You listen to hip-hop, everything like that. You have to upgrade your ear.
Right.
Like, shout out to the millennials or whoever came in front of them. Like, shout out Javon. You'll eventually meet Javon along the way. He's the one that really started me on that. Because I was on some old, N-word ears for a long time. And he was like, yo, what about these dudes? I'm like, they suck. He's like, have you listened to them? I'm like, nah, man, that's trash. And that's when I started listening to Cole. And that's when I started listening to Kendrick. And that's when I started listening to cats that really rock.
No, for sure. Like, Too Short was like, he had an interview where he basically said the same exact thing. He said, yeah, like you could be that old dude always saying Pac this and all that. But he was like, you go to the club, they ain't playing that, man. He was like, you're going to try to get a girl and like they're going to be like, what is this guy saying? He's just dating himself the whole time. So, I mean, you definitely, in anything, in all the trends, music dictates it. Culture is dictated by music and vice versa. So, yeah, I 100% agree with you. And, like, I mean, I was listening to some wild shit today because, like, I just want to hear what's going on in different... Like, okay, so let me backtrack.
Okay.
Right now...
This is a tree of trust, Justice. So, I mean, nobody's judging you for what you listen to.
Yeah. Right now... right now, like, I've been on this whole thing of, like, I feel like... the Bay Area is kind of stale.
Okay, but I mean, this is where you're from, though. I mean, how can you not feel like that?
Right. Right? So, like, I'm analyzing nightlife right now. I'm analyzing music, and, like, music's doing its own thing. But I'm mostly, like, analyzing culture, Okay. San Francisco right now, I feel like, is in a horrible slump.
It's a tough one.
It really needs to be cleaned up. Like there's so many problems there.
Right.
Oakland thriving, but yet it's hard for anybody to park their car anywhere.
Facts.
So you're kind of hesitant, but it's a great city right now. All the like
food
culture,
scene is fantastic.
Food scene, bar scene, nightlife, the DJs, everything is moving.
Yep.
But it's like, we just need to clean up a couple things, and this could be amazing, you know.
So I mean, you've been around for a little while. I've been around for a little while, man. I kind of laugh at these times, only because it gets you back to like, if you want to go to the dope restaurant that happens to be in Oakland, you're just gonna have to roll the dice to see if your shit gets broken into.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, you have to really go search for those real treasures, because like everything is cyclical, bro. Like, honestly, as tax-paying, American, as knowing how much value and how much wealth is actually in the area, there's no way they don't clean that joint up.
Yeah,
You know what I'm
sure.
saying? It just might take a decade.
Right.
But I mean, a decade on the pantheon of 100 years ain't shit.
Yeah.
Well, you rotate through it every, 20 to 30, it'll come back for sure. It's just going to take a little time. It just gets a little grimy. But like, I think this is the time to invest in finding the dope places, spending time, seeing where that neighborhood bar is, seeing where the art installation is in that rare spot. So I kind of dig it, man. And it's more real that way, man. It's more earned.
Yeah, definitely. It is earned. But like looking at it, from like maybe an operator standpoint, right?
That's right.
It's hard because like, those type of patrons, they don't want to come to that right now. And then food costs, and then, all these other costs. But I mean, that's another like.
There's a lot of them, man.
It's a lot
for sure. Like, do you think it's just gonna be like more policing as far as that goes? Do you think it's gonna be more deregulation? I don't like the.
I think that that's another topic too that like I really don't want to get into.
That's fair.
But I will also say that with my analyzing of like what the nightlife and like all the like the whole scenes are doing, what we didn't have was that we didn't have an option to like stay home as much. We didn't have a place where we could like stay home because like at least for myself, my pops, he immigrated here early, like like mid 50s.
Okay.
So he's been here for a minute, but the American dream that he was set for me wasn't for me to throw fucking parties. Wasn't me to be like this hustler that loved rap music wearing a fucking Coogee sweater. Like that wasn't his like vision for his son.
Right.
So, like me being at home is kind of like an eyesore for him. He's like, what are you doing here?
Right.
So like for me, I was like, I'm always out. I'm always like, looking to see like what's popping, roll to San Francisco, roll to San Jose, roll to Oakland,
Stay relevant.
Just do whatever really. But these kids nowadays, like they have the option of staying home because I think our generation is like, you guys could just stay home and chill and drink with us because the connect is like, they're not really tripping. If their kids drinking, do it at my house.
Right.
Because they've lived that.
Right.
But
it's more acceptable.
Yeah, our parents were like,
no,
nurse, doctor, you're not fucking drinking with me. This is ridiculous.
Yeah, I think we were honestly like, I'd say I'm 42. You're about 38.
No, I just turned 40.
Oh, my bad.
Yeah, you were there.
Right. Yeah, I was. Maybe I was. Maybe I wasn't. That's the That was a good one. So anywho,
yeah.
That's right. I apologize.
No worries.
So like, I think that's the thing, man. Like we're like literally split on that generation of like iron workers for parents.
Yep.
And like nurses, and that's all they did, and that's all they talked about, and that's what you did, and you came home and you did the whole 9 to 5 thing, and then like we're like, well, maybe now that's not the way to live life. Maybe you need to live life because we see how much they sacrifice.
For sure.
Like my mom to this day, like we were just talking about, she's from Barbados, Barbadian. So she's going back to Barbados finally. It's been like 13 years since she's back. She used to go like every other year. Pay for half her ticket, best I could do at the time. But like, we don't spend that time like reinvesting into, ourselves. They didn't. And we saw what the cost that they paid was. Yeah. Like years and years of being away from home, just helping us out. Shout out mom. Even to this day, my mom still looks out. You know what I'm saying? To certain regards. When I'm home with my son, different things. And they know what sacrifice was. Like we saw what the toll sacrifice put on them, and we found a little wiggle room, so we took it easier on the next generation.
No, definitely. And like, you look at what your mom and like what our parents were doing at 40
Facts.
was way different with what you were doing at 40.
Yes.
Even the clothes you wear, the way you talk, you still kind of go out, you see different people. I know for my parents, like, it was just like maybe do one trip a year and then like have
maybe.
Yeah, and then it's a lot of like just functions at the house.
Yeah. Like low maintenance kind of mental vacations almost.
Yeah.
A lot of and they squatted, but but the other thing too is that like they squatted though. Like I remember coming up grew up in New York right before we moved to Virginia when everybody was in New York. Bro, holidays, bar mitzvahs, quinceañera, everything you want, everybody was at the house. Everything's going on. There was a different kind of connectivity with that level of dedication because you had work, you had your kids, and then your free time was kind of your family and being ingrained into that and making sure it was a different ethos, but everything kind of transitions for a reason, I think.
Yeah.
And there's more, I think, enlightenment. Excuse me, I can't talk today. Enlightenment. I can't talk. You can get real smart from doing smart people stuff.
No, like
like the thinking, the forward progression, the creativity piece.
No, the narrative between kids and their parents today, I think, is way more open. They're able to share certain things where I feel like if, I guess, I just think that is a different time where it's okay to be their friend to a certain extent.
I think it's a tough battle, but I think that overall humanity wins more doing it this way than it does doing it the other way.
Yeah.
I think how I was raised, you were probably raised the same way. Don't ask any questions. Sit down, shut up. I'll tell you later, maybe.
Yeah.
And then you're going to go to school. There's no explanations in that.
Right.
So there's no nuance of growth in there. Like, and it is what it is. And, we're products and we get the lessons when we get to it.
Yeah.
But, I think that when you proliferate ideas and you have options and you have a matrix of options and then you have a matrix of options on top of that, I think that's what kind of spreads and makes things amazing.
No, yeah, for sure. Like, sky's the limit for all these kids.
Yes.
Right now.
Yes.
I don't even know. I couldn't even tell you how I thought, like, hey, I'm just going to, like, hustle and, like, I'm going to figure it out and it's going to work.
Right.
And, like, I used to have battles with my pops. Like, battles. Like, he's just like, all your friends are going to go to Hawaii one day. And you're not going to afford to go. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, oh, okay, all right. That's what you think.
Right.
But like, I found a way to kind of make it work. Like, I'm not going to say it's like, I'm like balling out of control, but I've figured out, how to balance both.
I think it's an interesting transition in like I think we were the generation of hustlers. So from us, we found ways to not have to work at that grocery store for 10 hours a day or have to work at whatever the gig was that they were forcing us to do to make equal money and sustain ourselves. Because we didn't want to be those people. We were influenced by rebels. We were listening to hip hop. We did want to, but like good, bad, or indifferent, like that forced us to innovate some kind of occupation, and that's what we have. And I think that what the next generation has is anything is possible. And I think representation, like you were saying before, off camera is so important. And that's why representation is important, because when you grow up in a life where there actually truly is examples of anything happening, you can actually do anything. Like, I think we were very stifled.
No, definitely.
To a degree.
100%. Because the thing was that, I'm not going to say education was limited, but it was harder to attain stuff after high school because there's like wars, there's, just like having to provide and stuff like that. So, definitely we were able to, we had the option of college. Now, what's interesting now is that the internet is at your fingertips. There's all these creators. There's OnlyFans. There's people selling fucking pics of their feet. Like, I think it's running kind of rampant where, you know, it's hard to get a service industry worker. It's hard to get a bartender or a server because they're like, yo, I could fucking take pictures of my feet and make 5 bands a month. Why do I need to go, like, listen to a boss? I'm chilling.
Yeah, I just think that you always forget that the fact that that stuff lives forever. And I'm not judging. I'm not throwing shade. There's stuff on me on the internet. If you ever gave a fuck to look for it, I'm sure you'd find some crazy shit.
See real quick.
Yeah, you know, like you gotta have some time to deep dive that one. But you know what I'm saying? However you making money, whatever you gotta do, look yourself in the face in the mirror the next day, that's your business. I don't care. God bless you. Good luck. Right. All I'm saying is that, like, in reality, objective view, all facts, that stuff lives forever.
No, for sure.
So, like, I think the fast money move, as we all do in our 20s, we know how we make quick deals, whether legal or not legal, just to get that. And then long term, it caused more headache than you thought on the back end.
Right.
Shout out to all these people doing this stuff, and you make your money, get your bread. First of all, make sure you're saving that bread, first of all.
Sure.
Diversify your bonds for whatever you're going to do to ever be shady. But on top of that, too, like, those actions on the back end might cause some other issues. So, I mean, people don't think about the full spectrum of decision making. And, you know, obviously we're saying this as 40-year-olds, but, like, we were 20-year-olds once, and we didn't listen to other people either. But, like, make sure this 60 grand isn't a $2 million mistake on the back end on your character.
That's very true.
You know, so, I mean, but, you know, you getting that money, pop them chains, do it.
Pop them bottles, come by.
Come through.
We'll go. We'll take it. Y'all want 1942? We stocked up.
On deck, always, bro. Always.
But yeah, I mean, it's just an interesting time. I love to talk to my nieces and nephews and kind of pick their brains. Like, one of my nephews, he had like the new Sony cam, and I was like, oh, I was about to buy that.
Right.
Let me borrow that for a minute, you know, and let me play with it and stuff.
Yeah.
And like, he was showing me a couple things, and then, you know, it's crazy because I don't know how they view me, but they always ask me like certain little things, and then I'll ask them certain little things about what I might think is for the younger crowd.
I think there's something that happens when you do that. I think that's like a true mentorship. And when I say that, I mean in the way of like I've had to, you know, I'm a bartender still. I have to stay relevant, you know, both cocktail wise, just life wise in general. So I go to the younger cats and ask them questions. I think when you do that, they see it as something like, oh wow, this dude doesn't have to do this, but he's curious and he's actually listening and taking the information in. So I think it kind of like drops the, you know, some airs, and they're able to ask real questions that they have.
Yeah.
So I think that's a dope. I think that's one of the most special relationships, man. Honestly.
No, 100%, because, you know, growing up, there wasn't a lot of that.
We didn't have, dude, bro.
There was a lot of people that always wanted to keep it cuts.
Or you keep it to yourself.
Yeah, you know, like, hey, where'd you get that? Oh, I can't tell you.
No, son. You don't want this
on
this, son. Yeah. You can't tell my shine.
But that was like, you know, the old mentality. So like, you know, in order to embrace what you're saying, like, yeah, you gotta like be able to share it, because they could just fucking Google it right now. They don't even have to ask you. They could literally just go on the internet, watch a video on YouTube. I've learned how to fix my sink and fucking change brakes on the internet. Like, you know, you don't have to ask somebody. But I think, like you said, it's a special narrative that you're creating, and they do want to hear it because, you know, you watch. It's just perspective. Like, do I want to hear how Jay made $1 billion, or do I want to hear how Bill Gates made $1 billion?
Right.
You know, I can't really relate to Bill Gates, who probably went to school and did X, Y, and Z, where I know how Jay did it. You know, it feels more natural to me. It feels more rooted in what I've kind of seen and done, you know?
Seen possible, yeah. And like I said, it goes back to representation. Like, what do you think from what you can see in your daily life is duplicatable?
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
It's interesting, man. We were talking earlier before we came on camera about you said you went to New York and you had a good time. Obviously, shout out New York, birthplace of the God. No, it's just me. I just live there. Queens, Flushing. So you said you went to New York. You've been in New York a couple times.
Yeah.
So you kind of know the vibe. You kind of know
sure.
you're bi-coastal. You get it where you fit in. You know what it is.
Yeah.
Since cannabis has made a big push in New York in the last 18 to 24 for sure.
For sure, yeah.
For sure, the last 18 to 24. Having been out there before, prior, probably pre-pandemic, you know what the vibes are. Post-pandemic, legislation passed. What do you think is the biggest change to the culture out there versus what you've seen in the past versus what you see?
We got?
We got all the time, bro.
The
big ones, the ones that really the glaring standouts.
All right, glaring standouts, best hustle I've ever seen.
Get it?
They have guys out there in Times Square with cameras that will take a picture of you and your girl or you and your significant other and Bluetooth you the picture for tips. Genius. Also, there is...
So that's their donation.
Yeah.
Got you.
And also there's a lot of people fucking doing TikTok videos in Times Square. A lot of kind of cringy, but I get it. It's an amazing backdrop.
Yeah.
Probably one of the best in the world.
So do you think, so when they do the TikTok thing, are they kind of like tagging a location kind of deal? And they're like, I'm over here chilling or whatever?
Yeah, just using the Times Square as their backdrop where they're doing the little dance and stuff.
Yeah.
And just kind of being out there. Another one that's pretty cool is have you seen that rotating camera that does the 360?
Oh, the 360 selfie joint. Yeah.
Yeah, so they got that popping out there. So they basically have really digitized Times Square where you could get every different type of experience of taking a picture and not really being in the moment and taking it in with your camera. It's oh, how could I get a souvenir out of this?
Gotcha.
Which is crazy. There's tons of immersive backdrops that they kind of have in the middle and stuff now.
Right.
But it's just a vibe. And then, you want to talk cannabis.
Right.
It's the fucking wild, wild west. Literally, we could set up this table right here, me and you.
Yeah.
Stand right there, sell a couple jars, and police aren't even tripping.
I mean, it's kind of interesting, man. It's with great power comes great responsibility. New York is kind of the birthplace of the strong arm, if you will, and they do everything strong-armed and very forceful. It's interesting to see so much privilege and power be given to that area to see how it's expressed.
Yeah, every bodega, every maybe I would say 50 feet, there's a dispensary.
Yeah.
And so they have a lot of weed coming in from Florida.
Yeah, a lot.
And then they're having a lot of weed coming in from Oklahoma. Mm-hmm. But true connoisseurs still have to come to California.
And tell people about this California bud, bro. I was making the analogy earlier that it's kind of New York style pizza. People oh, New York style pizza here is in Minnesota. New York style pizza is in California. New York style pizza is New York style pizza because of the ethos, the water from New York is what makes good pizza, and they have good water, good filtration, all that stuff. So when you talk about California weed that's sought after worldwide, folks. Worldwide.
Right.
What do you think is the big deal, man?
Yeah,
why do you think it's different?
San Francisco was the birthplace of the hippie and the free love and LSD, and some of the greatest musicians were living in the hate district. They've refined this process over and over and over. And, I think a lot of it has to do with climate. We got a little bit of heat, and then we have a little bit of mist and ocean, so it just kind of just works. And the ethos is pretty much perfect for what we're doing, even if you're growing indoor.
I think that love, man, is it's kind of we used to always talk about, when you got your grandma in the kitchen, she making some she makes some good old monkey bread. She doing something, for me it was cornbread, coconut bread, and it comes out. It's like it doesn't taste like anything else that anyone has ever created. And I think here in California, a lot of the culture is related around the tree, the leaf, and there's respect for the leaf, the respect for the tree, and it kind of proliferates through the whole process, and everybody loves on it, and it comes out on the back end. So I know people that I've seen in different places in the world that are asking about Cali bud.
Yeah, and like you said, the love part.
Yeah,
and like you can't duplicate that. You have a lot of like what most people refer to as the chads in the business, who are kind of like trying to run with this like it's a Marlboro thing. But you could pay the top dollar for these guys, but there's little tricks of and trade and like the love factor that's not going into some of these guys that are probably doing it for pure profit.
Do you see like I said, I got into cannabis, I was probably 20, 21. I was a super late bloomer. I'm from the East Coast.
Yeah.
So the weed was trash.
Yeah.
But like as you maturate in the process of being a California smoker, man, do you find that a lot of people are kind of moving away from that real culture versus like, let's get this, kind of emerald rush kind of feel, where people are, like you said, are cashing in and they're kind of giving up their grows or their sales to like a cannabis company? You think it's getting to that point?
I think that with Oklahoma kind of basically imploding right now, that everything's coming back to California and things are starting to readjust.
Gotcha.
And with that, there's also new customers because of the term microdose, that people are feeling a little bit more safer. If you tell them like, oh, this is only 5 milligrams, and they're willing to try it because back in the day, if someone gave you a brownie, it's fucking rolling the dice. You don't know if it's gonna be fire or you don't know if you about to be just out for 8 hours.
Yeah,
so
I've done that to people.
so that's the thing. Like the proper dosage of everybody is a good way to introduce people. Like right now, currently, a lot of my friends are starting to like, eat the edible over maybe drinking as much. As 40 hits, it's not as sustainable to take 15 shots in the night 100%. And be able to take care of a kid the next day.
Yeah, I think that's the it's kind of like gentrification, and as a system by itself, it benefits everyone, but it's often misused for the benefit of a 1% or an elite class, and that's what's wrong with gentrification. I think with things going legal more, you have the chance to regulate dosages, like you said, introduce and educate people to this. Even when it comes to like psilocybin mushrooms, I think psilocybin mushrooms is the next wave, hands down.
Yeah, 100%.
There's no question in my mind. Everything that we was in the 60s and 70s, we're getting to an educated point with our drug use as a society that we know that psilocybin, psychedelics, things of that nature are beyond beneficial.
Yeah.
For society to keep progressing.
For sure.
I used to send psilocybin mushrooms home to friends that I know have PTSD, and nothing has helped them out like the regulated, suggested use that I've given them for their psilocybin.
That's awesome.
And it's just life-changing. And I think as we continue to talk about this openly, and that's why I'm not trying to be cool. I'm like, oh, I do shrooms. Like, there's times for one and there's times for other. But, like, this is real medicine that's helping people out, for
sure. Man. 100%. Like, yeah, there's like people that I've lost to, like, cancer and stuff. But because they're able to smoke weed, they've been able to eat, which is, like, kind of like one of those things that's, like, chemo just, like, destroys your appetites and just makes it really hard for you to swallow it at a point. So like for them to being able to smoke or eat an edible and to have like a hunger and appetite because our cultures are driven by food.
Yeah.
Like, hey, come here, you eat now.
I love you. Come here, eat. Yeah.
Yeah. Hey, hi. Oh, you eat now.
I'm angry at you.
Yeah.
Come eat now.
Yeah.
Everything, man.
Yeah, you could end a terrible fight that you had with your wife or whoever, and just by putting a plate in front of them, and that's like a gesture of love because, like food in all of our cultures that are sitting here is that one love language. Like like your pops might have not hugged you, but he gave you a plate.
You're never hungry though. Like even if he had to be hungry, you were never hungry. And that's loving the act, man. And I think that's the thing, man. Like we do the dinner thing. I do the dinner thing sometimes. Dinner with Don. Shameless shout out.
Dinner with Don.
But I mean, and you've been around a couple things. You didn't have a chance to sit down, but you bless us with your presence. We appreciate that, of course. But like, that's the thing that I try to tell people. Even with that, they're like, "Oh, it's just dinner." I'm like, dude, like, not where I'm from. Where I'm from, what dinner is you're gonna drop everything. You're gonna talk to the people that you love, give them 10, 20 minutes, catch up, figure some things out that have been bothering you. It's a centering point. Yeah. And I think that we've taken that for granted as we have microwaves and as we have dinners and TVs in the other room and all this stuff and other things to do. And it's not bad, like, keep doing that stuff, but like there's still time to carve out this time to recenter and have a good time with people that mean nothing but good,
Yeah, and like, business is done through great meals, and like that's like one of the best ways to kind of just come together and like really connect with the person. If you're like, yo, have you tried this at this place? And then you bring that person and you're like, yo, you have to try this. And they eat it, they automatically trust you.
That's what
the shit is fire.
Because you're sharing quality, and I think that's the thing. Like, everyone always quick to share an experience. Like, even if it's shitty. Like, how many times have you eaten something, you're like, oh my God, taste this, man, this is terrible. It's the first thing you do. And, you're like, and then someone stupid is like, oh, this is terrible. What did I do that for?
But if you trust that person, you got to try it.
No, every single time, bro. Every time you're like, oh, you're right. So I even want to make sure that you were right in your bad opinion or something. Right. Like, it's crazy. But that's a really good point, and that's what I'm really most happy about with that event. I'm glad you got to come by and kind of catch a little bit of vibe as we grow.
Yeah, definitely.
So that's always important, man. So yeah, that was a good portion of it tonight.
Yeah, but like, New York is the wild, wild west right now. It's a trip, But the thing was that like was different than a lot of other New York trips was that I just ate pizza, chopped cheese, bagels. I didn't really like.
Did you get any Chinese food?
No, I didn't because like I only had like 3 days.
It's okay. It's a lot of eating.
It's a lot of
eating, and all this stuff is so rich and cheesy and good, and it's just,
I wanted to just kind of eat with the people. Like I looked at this New York trip as like, what would I do if I lived here?
Okay, I respect that.
And I was like, I'm not gonna just fucking eat, fancy stuff.
That's fair. I think that's the magic of New York. I get made fun of all the time about like mostly eating sandwiches like fucking Joey from Friends and shit. Mm-hmm. It's just because like it's on the go, but like also there's like dope sandwich spots with dope meat and it's different vibe and all the things are different and you're on the go, so you don't need much. So you can always get something that's a little cheap, something here and a little something from there, and
Yeah, like I had an Italian sandwich. With the mortadella and like salami and all that.
Did you go to Cats?
I didn't get to go to Cats because it's like Cats is deep.
Get out of my house. Skip. Yeah, Cats is.
No, I know, man, and I love the Cats too. I actually brought home. I brought home Cats the last time. I had gotten my Tupperware, bought like $100 worth of meat. I was like, don't even give me the bread, just give me the meat. Brought it home.
That's a smart move. That's actually a vet move, bro.
We're in heaven right there.
The vet move, you can do anything with that now. You don't have to worry about the bread getting mushy around the meat and all.
Exactly. All right, let me ask you a question.
All right, hit me with it, bro.
Being from New York.
From New York.
Where do you get... Okay, so what's two-part question.
First of all, let me preface this. Left when I was 14. I don't want to be a poser, but I live in Virginia too.
All right, pastrami. Where do you get a pastrami around here? And then what's your favorite pizza out here?
Pastrami out here. Ooh, wee. See, so let me answer the pizza question first.
Okay, yeah. Answer the pizza.
So the pizza question is, I stopped judging pizza because I'm not in New York. So like I accepted the fact that nothing is going to be my style of awesome
Right.
so far away from the awesome place.
Right.
Just like I don't expect to go to a beach in New York that's going to be dope as the one in California.
Right.
So like I've come with the like this is different ingredients, different place, different techniques. This is the best I can do in the place that I'm at. I know it's kind of a cop-out answer, but like pizza is really, religious experience, and that's the best I can come up with now. But, right now, like, I don't know, man. I just kind of gave up. I kind of gave up pizza only because, like, I didn't want to get disappointed. And why not just focus on the dope Mexican that's everywhere in this joint?
Gotcha.
So, I mean, like, I'm like, I'll go back to it when I can, but for the time being, I'm crushing Mexican joints. I'm crushing, like, Vietnamese restaurants and, dim sum places and all. I've never seen that stuff before because they don't have that variation. So, like, at least when I was growing up in New York, to my knowledge, my limited experience, I'm not an expert, the Asian persuasion that was in New York was mostly Chinese. Yeah. So, like, that's why Chinese food is so ridiculous, all that stuff. That's why I was exposed to most. I didn't realize how many variations there were before I came out and before I got older and started knowing. So now, since there's so many variations of Asian cuisine, especially too, like, I'd rather eat dim sum all day. Gotcha. I'd rather go to this little hot pot spot. I'd rather go to Korean barbecue. Like, I'd just rather spend my time doing that stuff than trying to have a half-hearted attempt at Italian food. Italian food, but, the funny thing is that they cook Italian food out here like they did in the 80s in New York. So it's kind of nostalgic in a way. So like when I go to Original Joe's, I kind of feel how you guys feel when you go to Original Joe's.
I love that spot.
You know what I'm saying? I love it too because like that's like 80s soprano tight restaurants. Everything is some shade of burgundy with wood somewhere. Yeah. And it just fits that time period. That veal parmesan still like the same veal parmesan. Right. Sorry, Peter. I eat that. That's what I'm saying. It's nostalgic. So I dig, which is why Original Joe's still exists. But, like, I've had better Italian food, but, like, wound up sounding like that asshole. It's like, I've been to Ibiza, and it was better in Ibiza.
I love the house music in Ibiza.
It's so much better there. It's so much more authentic.
Have you heard it there, though? You sound like,
It's just lit.
No, I get it.
So I mean, I to be honest with you, like, I don't have a favorite pizza spot out here, bro.
No, the only reason why I asked was because, like,
put me on game, bro.
I feel like I've been here in San Jose for, like, 20 plus years.
Hit me with it.
But I never ate pizza that I was like I'm like, okay, yeah. I've eaten pizza at work, but you can't say I love the pizza at work, but it's still work pizza.
Right.
I'll
tell you what though, honestly, like I've never and the funny thing is since I don't have, it's kind of like not having a style, like you get to try more things. Like since I don't look for New York style pizza anymore, like I found out about Detroit style pizza.
Yeah.
Like Slice of Homage. Shout out Slice of Homage. Yo, that joint is like for what it is for Detroit. I'm not looking for New York style pizza. I'm looking for pizza. Right. That joint is good, bro.
Yo, Slice of Homage. They like they're on a list right now.
They're on a few lists.
They're on a couple lists.
They're on the Bay list, the top 100 in pizza places in the Bay.
I'm hearing like 2s and 3s in some lists.
Bro, like it's getting, and now they got more production. They moved from they were inside Myth, now they moved inside of SP Social. So they have a bigger audience now. So a bigger draw. They got other projects going on.
Should have tried it.
So shout out, man. If you get a chance, try them joints on,
Yeah, no, definitely.
But I mean, like, I think that it's just tough. Like, why keep continuously disappointing yourself?
No, I get it for sure.
Like, for sure. I just don't.
And I'm gonna say like the douchiest thing I'll ever say in my entire life.
Hit me with it. I'll hit you back with one.
All right, like I go to Japan and I had sushi there. You can't really have sushi out here,
But I mean, it's the truth, though.
It's the douchiest thing I ever said in my life. But
here, I got you back.
Goddamn.
I got you back, and you can relate. When you went to Hawaii for the first time, and you had spam musubi in Hawaii, no matter what it was, whether it be the ABC store, whether it be a little bodega style Hawaiian joint, did it not absolutely shit on every single musubi, every single poke bowl that you had there? Like it just is what it is. I mean, you can't make exception for you being a little bit more baller than the regular motherfucker.
No,
That's not
100%. Yeah, that's how I feel about
don't
poke
apologize
too,
for lifestyle.
though. Like, I only eat poke at Santo Market,
Facts.
and that's about it.
Santos
I don't want the one with the mayonnaise and the edamame and
Why
like
does it look that color, bro? What's
cucumbers
that?
and like this frozen tuna from Vietnam. Like, I ain't doing that.
Nope. Yo, WhatChamacallit does have a super bougie move. I don't care. Man, we living this life. We paying our dues. We living this life. The poke at King Seafood is for like a big place like that.
Oh, I
pretty
love that
solid.
place. I love that place. It's a good place.
Bro, that
That's a really
poke
good
there is
place.
pretty solid too.
I
man.
need to try the poke. I never had it.
Yeah, bro. I was really surprised because I had it after we came back from Hawaii.
Damn.
And I was like,
that's a big move right there.
And I was like, let's see if it's still, because it's like hip hop from different eras. You're like, does it still stand up 20 years later? You're like, let me see if the joint just stands up, and it was pretty solid, man.
Wow.
I was really happy that I still have a place to have access
That's
to
cool.
Hawaii level poke.
I'm gonna check that out.
It's advisable, man.
Definitely.
So you're a nightlife dude. You've been
Yes.
around.
Yes.
You were talking about restaurants, man. Like, when you're looking at a restaurant and you're going out these days, I've, being in my position as a bartender, do you notice the shift in the industry as far as like the consumer base, the clientele, what their expectations are? Do you see anything pre and post COVID that you could really speak to about that?
Yeah, like, that's like a lot of my like analyst things that I've been doing these past couple weeks because, January, February, March, new year, new me. A lot of people are kind of like, oh, I'm not eating meat.
Big facts.
I'm not, drinking right now. I'm trying to be this new version of myself, which only lasts till about April or May.
Right before St. Patrick's Day?
Right, exactly. So, like, we're getting into the busy season.
Facts.
It's about to happen right now. The shift has been that, like, the younger kid saves their money for the big event. They don't feel like they need to be out every weekend fucking popping bottles and doing the most. They're just looking for the what is the biggest event that I could come to where I could be seen the most, take the most pictures, show people that I got money, pull my chains out, be the sexiest, whatever it may be, whatever. That's what they want to do. They're saving up for that experience. Hence, seeing like the Coachella stuff.
Yeah.
I mean, look at where we work. Look at where we
true.
work. We work right across the street from that apartment spot that has, it's like $4,400 a month. But every Friday and Saturday, I just see the most beautiful women with the biggest fucking suitcases going to the airport. Friday, coming back. Sunday night, Monday, ready to go back to work. Very transient thing because, California people are getting paid out here, but they don't necessarily need to be in San Jose for that.
Right,
because, they'll pop in every now and then, do some local stuff here and there. But for the most part, San Jose has turned into a very transient space.
Alex. It has been, man. I think it's one of those things that it changes the complexion, and I think that it also takes away from an angle of like, I think that it used to be that you came to a bar, you kind of showed a little bit more respect. I think a lot of people, the common courtesies are kind of going down because there's a lot more of that. There's a lot more come and go, pop in, pop out. Not a lot of like stagnation anymore. Do you think that that's kind of attributed to some of the ways that people are shifting in the industry? I feel like it's a lot younger now, and I feel like it's to the point where it's like they don't know the subtleties anymore.
Yeah, but I think those are the things like that you kind of have to have that narrative with them to tell them about that. Like, hey, like this is how we kind of do things. And like I'll say, like being an OG of this whole thing, that there are certain ways that you carry yourself, go about certain stuff, and sometimes they just don't know because nobody's told them. I've had countless conversations of like, yo, what's up, man? I'm a DJ, bro. Like, come, let me rock your spot, dude. I'll be like, hey, man, like, just send me something. Like, I'll check it out.
Yeah.
And, like, in the most nicest ways, a lot of these dudes are just not ready for what we do. And I'm not going to pay them $1,000 because they think that they have some type of certain clout that's built, in a digital world.
Yeah.
It just doesn't translate.
I think it's a tough time, too, because I think we're coming from show me something tangible. Because every time we were asked about something or we had to do something that was beneficial to us or we were trying to do, like, show me what you got. And we had to show a portfolio, show a resume, show something tangible. And I feel like nowadays it's not a lot of, like, willingness to do the portfolio side. They just want to be on right now.
Yeah. Definitely.
So it's kind of hard to bridge the gap sometimes.
But going back to what you're saying, the small subtleties, the biggest subtlety is like, if I'm texting you and like saying like, hey, I'm having something, and I'm inviting you to, show up. Mm-hmm. Like if you can't show up to something that I'm doing, why do I want to hire you? It goes both ways. And I know that I'm not always at the club because I have other, things that I have to do. I have to be married. I have to make sure she's good. And then I have other businesses, too, that might not allow me to always be at the club. Right. But at the same time, like if I'm saying like, hey, I'm having this pop-up, pull up. I'm telling you that I'm going to be there. Right. And like, this is a good way for me to say, do you like New York pizza? Oh, you don't? I'll probably never hire you. But if you're like, yo, have you been to fucking Joe's or Lucali's or whatever it is? And I'm like, yeah, I was actually there last week. And then like, oh, yeah, I went there, and you share a story with me about why you like that. Then I'm like, hey, you know what? We have something in common. This is why I want to book you, because you align with what I'm trying to do.
Now, do you think that is a mentality like from where we come from, we try to impress them on, or do you think that's still a tangible link in like, so basically what I'm saying is that even with all the technology, all the online stuff, all this stuff that's going on, do you think it's still that important to make a personal connection with someone when you're moving forward in business and hustling and all that stuff? It's still a necessary thing.
Yeah, definitely. Like I honestly only book people that I like. And like, that I could kind of share a meal with or I want to talk to. Like, I'm not going to hire the asshole that's like, asking fucking Ronnie for 50 million drinks, but giving him $1 at the end of the night. Like, I don't ever want to hear from you guys like, oh man, like that DJ was dope last night, but he was a fucking asshole. Then it's like, oh, he's a fucking asshole in our house? All right.
You gotta go.
Never again,
No, I do, and from a non-podcast, but we always appreciate that too. Like honestly,
yeah, for sure.
And I think that's why a lot of us are still there, and a lot of us move the way we do is because we have that kind of autonomy, and I said, for what it's worth. But yeah, I think that's interesting, and I think that a lot of people don't understand. I think a lot of cats are making moves without understanding why they're making the moves. I think a lot of people are nice to you because they're like, oh, if you're nice to them, you're like, no, like you should be nice to them because that's the right thing to do to a potential employer. You know what I'm saying? Like you should try to like make FaceTime and be at his events because that's more FaceTime that you can see him and pick his brain a little bit if you're trying to get put on by him. Right. And I feel like these things used to be obvious to me. It's like when my dad and the grandfathers put into us, like be in front of the man that you want to get hired from and be in your best presence. Look good, look together, talk educated, put yourself on the best platform for success to be noticed for the right things. Definitely. And I feel like people are just showing up like, yeah. Can you do
that one more time? No, that's very true.
Like, there's no even we go back a little bit. We ran around a little bit. It is what it is. We have fun. Yeah. Always have fun with this guy. But like, I still like, hey man, I'd like you to be on this podcast. This is what's happening, blah, blah. I'm still going to approach you. Like, I want you to be a guest for this professional reason.
For sure, 100%.
I think people forget. They're like, oh, I seen him on the street the other day, man. That's my dude. Hey, my dude, man, let me. You know, it doesn't work like that.
No,
you still have to do this stuff.
Yeah, it's like all the little things, you know, with anything. Like, you know, again, back to the subtleties. Like, you know, there's a lot of unsung heroes in this game, you know. The busser is probably the most unsung hero in this whole thing, and nobody ever like addresses them. That's the first person I talked to in the nightclub. The bottle waitress, she's irrelevant to me.
Prime time.
It's this guy. Hey, what's up, Chris? Hey, Chris, we're gonna go out here. I'm gonna give you $50 off the bat. Just make sure we're good, and everything will run. Just like clockwork. Like clockwork. You know, if you're having a good shift and all the glassware is there, it's because the busser is on top of their stuff. We're just clocking. And all the little things.
Turnover.
You know, all the little things.
Efficiency. Yeah, man. Kitchen staff. Shout out kitchen staff.
Shout out kitchen staff.
Shout out kitchen staff.
Yeah.
Pro tip, every young server, young bartender ever. First thing you do whenever you go in a new restaurant, you go to that kitchen and you make you a friend.
Yes, and you also make a friend with the dishwasher.
Yes.
Because the glassware is going out the window, and like, it's wild. So
do that every time. It sounds like a silly thing to do. You appreciate you give them roses, you break them off every now and again, toss them sand. Dude, show appreciation to those cats that work really hard, bro.
Yeah. But I mean, it's just going back to what we're talking about, the analogy of basketball. Like, the reason why SB2's been around for so long, or all these spots, actually just SB2. The reason why SB2's been around is because it's everybody knows their job for the most part, and everybody's there to play a part. Yeah. And we can't function one without the other.
Facts.
You know, and I've been to other places, and if there's an ego at a certain level, it just all kind of trickles down.
And I think that's the saving grace of places, not only that place, SB2, but like other places like that. When you hit that field, like, it's irreplaceable. Like, you know, when there's ego deaths across the room, mission accomplishment happening, it looks so more polished. Yeah. And it's a better experience. Yeah. You know, and everybody does better, man.
Yeah, everybody does better when they see repetition as a customer. If a customer could see that, oh, hey, Ronnie's here. Oh, hey, Don's here. Oh, Justin's here. They feel comfortable because they're like, oh, who's that new guy again? Why is there another new guy? Then they're like, oh, I don't know. You know, it starts to put a distrust in their mouth, I would say.
Air of doubt.
Yeah, the customer wants to feel comfortable. No. They want to feel like it's their place. And I want them to feel like it's their place. No. To a certain extent.
Well, I mean, I think that's the thing, man. Like, I think as professionals, people that gravitate towards this industry to whatever level of involvement we do, like, we want everyone to feel comfortable, but we want people to feel comfortable with our ethos. Like, if I feel comfortable, I would never go in someone's house and wipe my feet on their couch. Right. I would never be disrespectful to somebody's parent. You know, you hope that I do want everybody involved. I do want to provide this environment, but, like, come on, son. You would never do that to other people. Why would you do that here?
Right, and that's the same thing with, like, going back to the vetting of a DJ. You know, we want this guy to come in, rock the place, have a good time, but be respectful. Take your fucking shoes off, bro. Yes. You know?
And I think that, like, it's tough, man. It must be, and, you know, I'm not going to, I've been around a lot of DJs because of my, you know, bartending, but, like, I haven't had as many interactions nearly as you have, but I see it's always the young DJs that, like, see the lifestyle, and instead of, even if they're not about that life, they emulate it just to look more credible. Right. And it's kind of crazy because I'm like, dude, like, you don't even, like, you're really, I've watched DJs, like, young DJs, ask for drinks, ask for rounds, not take their rounds, put it off to the side, and next thing you know, I got 5-6 shots at the end of the night that nobody touched because he had to stay focused on his job. Right. But he was trying to live up to an air of what a DJ life is supposed to be about, and be in all the pictures and all this stuff. So it's an interesting dichotomy there, you know?
Yeah, I mean, like, with anything, like, you have to put in the time and the work. You have to perfect your craft. Bartending, rapping, cannabis, DJing, whatever your whole thing may be, you know, playing an instrument.
Yeah.
Like, you have to put the time. And, like, sometimes a DJ could drink for 4 hours during a shift, or some DJ is so busy because he's so locked in playing music that he might only have one drink, and that's with you at the end of the night.
Yep.
Because he's like, man, like the crowd was just going crazy, and I had to keep up with them. And I had 2 drinks. And Don, please, can you pour me something? Because I am just spent.
Nope.
And they come back home and they're like, wow, that was great.
I think that's legit, like, the last conversation I had with Miles when he played SV2. It was just like, I finally get something. Can I please? I'm like, absolutely, man. Yeah. So you've been rolling, speaking of Miles, man, you've been rolling with that guy for a little while.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. That's my guy.
I want to talk about, like, honestly, like, just give out some roses while I got a chance to. You want to just talk about one of the people that, you know, has a relative level of, you know, fame and just couldn't be a nicer human being.
Yeah.
All the way around the board.
100%.
You know, it couldn't have been, you know, never blows anybody off, very genuine in his actions. And it's just like, honestly, like, just one of those people that just like, hey, man, you know, how are you doing? You're like, oh, shit, nobody's asked me that in a while. But, like, thank you. Like, I'm doing pretty good. He's like, you sure? You're like, yeah. And it's just, like, really, like, a nice little accent to the California crew that I've acquired since I've been out here.
Oh,
man.
no,
like,
yeah. I mean, you know, that dude has worked incredibly hard to be where he's at. And
I'm sorry. Please intro who we're actually
we're
really
talking about Miles Medina.
Yes, Miles Medina, man.
Miles Medina, you know, he's worked incredibly hard. Mm-hmm. You know, we've seen the natural progressions. We've seen him, you know, put his head down. He won a crazy battle. And he's always just been one of the guys that you could count on that's going to just, you know, absolutely murder the room. And the thing is, it's like, you know, it's great for me to just be there for his journey as a friend and, like, you know, a guy that could just, I'm like, you know, the number one roadie.
Bro, so you're, so on paper, officially, your wife is his manager.
Yeah,
correct?
so
So
Hannah
just as far as a little
Aquino,
connection,
Hannah Aquino is Miles Medina's manager. I'm not the one. I'm the number one roadie and tour manager, unofficial, where I just be there and
he
like
be in the spots, bro.
And I'll just hang out, you know. But it's cool though. Like we've actually done a bunch of events, and we've done stuff together. But you know, Hannah is the one that's like telling him like, hey, you need to get your shit right.
And as someone that's had Hannah say you need to get your shit right, it's pretty intimidating from a 4'1.5" woman. But she be on that joint. Shout out. But no, that's so dope, man. I mean, I've had the blessings and the privileges to hang out with you guys a couple of times, and just, you know, Miles Medina just, you know, hands down, like, just reads the vibe in the room, plays well, super technical. Yeah. Like, he just kind of like hits all the marks that you wish that more DJs would hit.
For sure.
You know?
100%.
But, like, yeah, getting in his old school sets, it's always good seeing him around and being in those rooms. So it's always cool.
Yeah, and then, like, today, what's today? March 7th.
March 7th.
They just announced that he's going to be doing IU Day Club at Resorts World in Las Vegas.
Hey.
March 26th with Ty Dolla $ign. So it's going to be... It's going to be a spectacle, you know, and, like, you know, he's going on tour with Pilo in March. In May.
Nice.
He has, like, a whole Asia tour in April. So, like, this dude he's on the move, and, like, you know, just all the love and, you know, all the flowers to that guy for sure.
Bro, that's a good, that dude always pops in my head, and I'm just so happy for the cat, man. It's interesting. I had the privilege of, like, actually bartending his wedding. So, like, when he got married, and it was just, like, I was flipping through my phones, and I saw the wedding pictures, and then, like, randomly, like, serendipitously, I think he was hanging out with you eating lunch. I was like, yo, I got some B-side from your wedding to show.
Oh, that's awesome.
And he was just so appreciative, and he just always, like I said, he's just always a good dude to see around town, man.
Yeah, I mean, you know, like, me and him, we got married in, like, the pandemic, so, like, there was probably 8 people at that wedding plus you. So
Yeah.
like 9 people pretty much.
It's pretty random, man.
You know, so like it was just a blessing to just be able to do that and kind of go through that journey with him. And then like seeing all the successes. And I think that this is only the beginning, really.
That's the best part. It's dope when you see someone get alley-oop to a level, and then you're like, wow, this is really just like a small footstep.
Right.
You know, like oh man, that's such a great part of the journey, man.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah, I think the thing that I've always liked about that group is like something I've always wanted to highlight is like you guys squad, and like how important. And you know, I've been around you guys. I've seen you guys at different functions. I've been out of town with you guys, and it's the same squad, same squad, same squad. No new friends,
for sure.
Same squad. How much to that do you attribute some of his success as far as like being able to stay grounded? Do you think it's important to always stay around those people or to evaluate your people that you keep at your core the most? Like, what do you think is you see this journey, you've seen this journey a couple times with a couple different people, you've been privileged with that. And as you see him make these correct steps and this hard work, do you think that's a big thing that keeps him successful?
Yeah, definitely. You know, like, I mean, it's not it's routine, but at the same time, it's like just knowing that the outcome is going to be there because those people are going to hold you down. If you're getting too drunk at the spot, they're going to, you know, call you out on it because they're not there because you're a good time. Once you start adding these people that, you know, are like there for all the wrong reasons, that's when, you know, things get in trouble. Or, things could turn into trouble. And I think that, like, just the whole, just being in the industry with the same people for this long, you kind of just start to acquire all the right people, and they all kind of just fuse into one. And it's beautiful because then it's like, yeah, you know, like me and Les, I've known this dude since the 5th grade.
Yeah.
That's a beautiful thing. Not a lot of people can say
special.
they've known somebody since the 5th grade. So I've known every aspect of this dude. Then you start adding like all these other people that are like-minded, and like, you know, I think that's why like the squad has grown because everybody kind of sees the agenda. They understand like, you know, what we're all about, and it's just like kind of like the gravitational pull, really.
It's like a positive black hole.
Yeah, it really is.
A white hole? Nah, it's still a black hole. It's just with positivity.
I mean, I've known Hannah since 2005. We were throwing parties in Las Vegas for Manny Pacquiao weekend. But we were linking up because she was the San Diego plug.
Right.
So her and her whole group would bring out everybody from San Diego. And it was like San Diego, the Bay, and L.A.
Gotcha.
And we would combine like Voltron to really just put together that squad to bring 3,000, 4,000 people.
Dude, that was a crazy day.
For a little Filipino guy that was 5-something that they didn't think could fight, but he showed everybody.
He fought for himself.
Yeah.
Dude, he fought for himself, bro.
Yeah.
That's fucking rad, bro. Well, I think that's the perfect place to stop this thing, bro. Justin, thank you so much for coming by,
yeah,
brother.
Definitely, man.
It's been
I had
wonderful,
a blast,
wonderful
dude.
talk, man. We'll get you back on. We're just getting
sure.
our reps up.
Yeah.
We're staying squad. But, guys, thank you so much for tuning in. We'll catch you next one. We love you. I hope you love us right back, man.
Peace.